Although not DC's first president, George Washington was the first to preside after the Constitution was ratified. The Constitution can be thought of as a lien against the 10-mile square of bankrupt Washington, D.C. only. It was not meant for the entirety of the land or her private sovereign inhabitants. Washington was also the first president who is blood related to the English monarchy. He, along with an additional 42 presidents, are said to be blood related to King John Lackland of England, and thus are all related to each other as well, excluding Martin Van Buren and current President Trump. Relatives also hold positions in Congress and as vice president. And let's not forget the world's favorite banking dynasty. Through Princess Diana, the Rothschilds became a part of English monarchy, and through former President Obama, they became a part of American monarchy as well. Although not blood-related, both President Trump and Hillary Clinton have close business and personal relationships with the Rothschilds. So what's the big deal if nearly 100% of America's elected government are all of royal blood and connected to corporate conglomerates? Quite simply, what are the odds? Is it truly a coincidence? I feel it's safe to say that power is concentrated into the hands of our most wealthy, and our most wealthy are closely related to politicians and monarchy, banking, and corporations. Why do the common people suffer through economic recessions, while the quote-unquote 1% appear to become wealthier? Why are wars fought by the poorest of us, and appear to be a means of colonizing foreign lands rich in resources? We witness these seemingly unrelated events occurring around the world. But what is causing such misery? How did we get here? Let's take a look at the microcosm of World War II. Hitler is one of the most hated dictators in history. However, he was only a puppet. If you want to know anything about history, just follow the yellow brick road. World War II was funded by Wall Street. The Union Banking Corporation, founded by Prescott Bush, was the United States' financial base for Germany's most powerful industrial family, the Tysons, who were major owners of coal and steel. In the late 1930s, UBC purchased billions in gold and shipped it to Germany, essentially helping to fund the Nazi Party and subsequent war. I feel it's noteworthy that as soon as Americans had their gold taken, World War II began. Unbeknownst to the American public, Standard Oil, owned by the Rockefellers and funded by the Rothschilds, was selling to Hitler in World War II. If not for their oil company, the Nazis would not have had fuel for their fighter jets. Percy Rockefeller's company supplied machine guns, pistols, and rifles to the Soviet Union, rifles to America, and missiles to the Allies. The Jewish people were used as slave labor to build industry, and the Allies never bombed the railways leading to the concentration camps, leading one to question if human rights were the real reason for fighting the war. The Bushes were found to directly profit from Auschwitz, and the family was sued for $40 billion in 2001 by Holocaust survivors, though their case was dropped. Conveniently enough, Chase Manhattan seized the life savings of the Jewish people just before the Nazis began their genocide. The bank then destroyed the paper trails as the owners, their heirs, and relatives were murdered. Chase Manhattan walked away with roughly $1 trillion during the Holocaust. Today that would amount to about $100 trillion. The Rothschilds alone are rumored to have made roughly $1 trillion off the Holocaust themselves. But none of this could have been pulled off without the help of Germany's own government. The term Nazi stands for National Socialist Workers' Party, which is a fascist form of government. Fascism is based in social Darwinism, along with socialism and communism. All three are collectivist ideologies. All have a centralized government with a single ruler who has sole command of industry and economy, absolute gun control, cradle-to-grave benefits, and state-sponsored workers' benefits. How are the German people taken over by their own government? One need look no further than a German letter sent in May 1919 outlining the rules of communism and revolution. 1. Get control of all means of publicity, thereby get people's minds off their government by focusing their attention on entertainment, sexy books, plays, and other trivialities. 2. Corrupt the young, get them interested in sex, make them superficial, and destroy their ruggedness. 3. Divide the people into hostile groups by constantly harping on the controversial matters of no importance. Destroy the people's faith in their natural leaders by holding them up to contempt and ridicule. Always preach true democracy, but seize power as fast and as ruthless as possible. Encourage government to be extravagant and destroy its credit. Produce fear of inflation with rising prices and general discontent. Promote unnecessary strikes in vital industries. Encourage civil disorders and foster a lenient and soft attitude on the part of government towards such disorders. By erroneous argument, cause breakdown of the moral virtues, honesty, sobriety, continence, and faith in the pledged word. Cause the registration of all firearms on some pretext, with the goal to confiscate them, leaving the population helpless. The German people alone were called racists and blamed for the deeds of corporate elitists, manipulating the masses through controlling news and government in order to achieve their end goal. With the Nuremberg trials in 1945, Britain, America, France, and the Soviet Union divided Germany in two, forcing their foreign laws onto her and requiring the German people to enter re-education programs, pay World War II reformations, and accept the Rothschilds' pre-planned economic system. Because Europe was economically devastated by the war, they entered the European Economic Community, also known as the European Union. America is increasingly becoming the poster child for the world's next Nazi Germany. How many wars have been instigated by our military based on falsehoods and are fought in order to colonize another's land? How many Americans have lost their property and land due to their own government? How many scandals are coming out about American politicians being involved in pedophile rings, organ trafficking, war crimes, drug smuggling, orchestrating terrorist attacks, and more? Whether or not these allegations are true, is America being set up just as Germany was a short time ago? What major money powers will be consolidated if there's a World War III? What neo-socialist government will be set in place then? Taking a look at Jay-Z's recent video Family Feud, we might have a glimpse into America's fate. Set in 2050, the narrator states, "My ancestor was one of the chief architects of the Confessional Papers and one of America's founding mothers. She and a group of women revised the Constitution at a time when some people thought that making America great was making us afraid of each other." The song is obviously referencing Trump's presidency. Just as Germany was reconfigured after World War II, America could face a similar fate if her politicians are found guilty of crimes against humanity or the like, which is very likely. Without the protection of natural law, there will be no legal remedies such as sovereignty or becoming a secure creditor. One will be locked into an invisible prison, and our fates will be predetermined by the very elitists who worked so hard to enslave America and the rest of the world in the first place. Under natural law, currently our nation's highest form of law, the created can never derive more power than its creator. Sovereigns are the creators of the law and government. Therefore, politicians can only have more power than us when we give it to them and enable their barbarous behavior.